about that cooking is science and math and English all rolled up into one thing. You've got your recipe that I sent to you. Yes, we want to follow it step by step. However, some things aren't in this recipe. Like if you look at the ingredients, it says that you need cooked chicken. It needs to be pre-cooked. Well, I didn't tell you that. If you didn't look at the directions, you didn't know. So that's going to be the first thing we're going to do. So you're going to take your piece of chicken. Mine's a big piece, so I'm only using one piece. But you can, if you have 2 pieces, take 2 pieces of chicken, 3 pieces, whatever you have, and put it in a pan. So I'm going to put it in a saucepan. Okay, I've just put it in a pan like this. There's my raw chicken. And I'm going to cover it with water. All I'm going to do is boil the chicken. That's what I want to do to pre-cook it. So I'm going to cover it with water. All right, I'm going to put it on the stove behind me so that it's cooking while I'm teaching you the rest of this. Okay, so now I've got my chicken starting to boil. All right, now we can go directly to the recipe that I sent you. And the first thing it tells us to do is put our oven at 375. So I'm going to go ahead and put my oven at 375 so it can start heating up. Okay, so now your oven's on 375 and it's starting to heat up. All right, is everybody good so far? Thumbs up? Good? All right, good job. We have one more person joining. Just give them 1 minute. All right. All right, so far we've got our chicken on to boil. Okay, so that it can, because it needs to be done a little bit before we cut it up and put it into our pie. So we've got our chicken boiling and we've put our oven on 375. Okay, all right, if you follow the directions, the next thing it says is to get a pie pan. I'm going to use this type. Some of you have a square, that's fine. Okay, it doesn't matter, any kind of pie pan you have. And I'm going to take my cooking spray, the cooking spray that we used. Now, this time, yesterday we just sprayed the bottom of our pan. This time you need to spray all the way around because you're going to have a crust all the way around. So when you spray, make sure you get the sides and the bottom. So that it's sprayed all the way around. Now, if you got this type of pie crust, you're going to go ahead and take one out. Okay, just one. There are other types of pie crust you could have bought, but if you have a pre-made pie crust, take one out. And you want to unroll it. Okay, so I've got one pie crust, and I'm going to unroll it all the way. All right, unroll it so it's just a flat piece, looks like a pizza pie. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and put it in your pie pan. Push it all the way in so that it is flat on the bottom. See what mine did when I pushed it in? Kind of wrinkled up. It's okay. Push it in so it's flat on the bottom. Make sure you don't get any holes in it, because you don't want your pie falling out into your pan. So make sure it has no holes in it. Just like that. So now it's flat on the pan. Okay, it's flat all the way around. And I checked it all the way around to make sure there's no holes in it anywhere. If you accidentally get a hole, just push it back together. It'll go right back together. So if you accidentally get a hole, just push it right back together. All right? Now we're going to set our pie pan aside with our crust already in it. We're just going to set it aside because that'll be for us to put our pie in once we're done making it. Are we good on the pie crust? Good. Good job. All right, the next thing we want to do is we're going to use a saucepan like this, okay? And you're going to put 3 tablespoons of oil in it. So the tablespoon is the biggest measuring spoon that you have, okay, before it goes to cups. So you're going to put 3 tablespoons of oil. Okay, I'm just using vegetable oil. You're going to put 3 tablespoons into the pan.
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get.
Absolutely. So you're going to use your tablespoon and you're going to put 3 tablespoons of your vegetable oil in your pan. All right, now that pan is going to be used for us to saute like our onion, our carrots, our peas, our corn, stuff like that before we actually put it in the pie. So once you have your 3 tablespoons of oil in your pan, just leave it sit there for a minute. And we're going to go ahead and dice up our onions. Now, I've got a half of onion because I used it in my first class, but you need to make sure on your onion you've cut off the top that has the stem and the bottom that has the stem, and you peel off any pieces that you don't want to cook with, which are the brown pieces. And when you cut the onion, you want to cut it into small pieces. Because you don't want to take a big bite of your pie and get a whole bunch of onion in it. So that's the size of a piece you need. Okay, just little bitty pieces. So cut up little bitty pieces of onion. If your family doesn't like onion and you don't want to put that in it, it's okay. You can use like onion powder or onion salt or something like that just to give it the flavor, but it won't have the onion pieces in it. And don't worry if you start crying when you're chopping the onion. That sometimes happens. It's just because of the onion smell. Make sure that if you do start crying, you don't wipe your eyes. If you wipe your eyes with onion on it, it's going to make it worse. So don't get your hand near your face while you're cutting the onion. Once I've got some onion cut up, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my frying pan and go ahead and put some of the onion in the frying pan while I cut the rest of it up so it can start cooking. Please be very careful because you are using sharp knives to cut these. All right, So I don't have all my onion cut yet, but I do have some of it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the oil in my pan and go ahead and put the onion in there and start letting it saute. So I'm just going to put the onion I already have cut in the saucepan and it's turned on. And I'm just going to let it start cooking while I finish cutting the rest of the onion up. And again, if your family doesn't like that much on the onions, you can either put just a little in or maybe just a little onion powder. Again, you don't want a big bite of onions in the middle of your pie, so make sure they're little slices. On the onions, I like getting about half of the bottom of the pan full. And they will cook down a little bit, so when you think you have enough onion, you can stop. It doesn't have to be, like I said, it's not exact. Sometimes the recipes will call for like a cup or half a cup or whatever. If you don't want that much, you don't have to put that much in.
Put the onions in the frying pan?
Yes, go ahead and put them in the frying pan and go ahead and turn your frying pan on. That way they can start sauteing. Okay, I'm just going to cut up a little bit more onion here and then I'll be done with my onion because I don't want a whole bunch in there. Alright, so you can see what I have in the way of onion. It looks like this. Okay? And I'm going to let that start cooking just a little bit. You'll start hearing it sizzle when you're putting the onion in. Once it starts sizzling, then you know it's starting to saute. You just want to get a good coat of oil on all the onions so that they saute. How are we doing on onions, okay?
Yeah.
Good job, okay. Are you starting to hear them fry a little bit? Good. All right, our next step is carrots. Now, depending on what you bought as far as carrots. If you bought whole carrots, we'll have to do some cutting on them first. If you bought little carrots, all you'll have to do is cut them in pieces, all right? I bought whole carrots, okay? I bought carrots that have stems on them. They still have a stem on this end, and they're rough on this end. So I'm gonna have to cut these a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the stem off here, and I'm gonna cut the end off here before I peel them. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm cutting the ends off. All right, if you bought whole carrots, make sure you keep your onions stirred around so none of them stick to the bottom. And it's okay if they start looking brown, it's all right, that's what you want them to do. All right, if you bought whole carrots like I did, you're gonna have to peel them. So you take a peeler like this, and you're gonna run over them real slow. And when you run over them, you'll get a piece like this off. This is going to be thrown away. You want your carrots clean to use them. Alright, so this is what a clean carrot would look like. All the rough stuff is gone. So make sure all your carrots are clean. If you got small carrots, you may want to put more in it than it calls for. If you bought little bitty carrots, you may want to put 6 or 7 of them in when we cut them. It's just going to be however you like them when you start seeing how many's in there. All right. Now with the carrots, you're going to cut them about the width of a dime. Okay, so they're going to be real flat, real thin. Okay, make sure you're keeping those onions stirred around. So you want to cut your carrots real thin. Alright, after you've got them cut up, or at least got one cut up, you're going to go ahead and put it in the saucepan with the onions. So we'll cut it up here.
Excuse me?
Yes?
How do I do it? I don't know.
How do you do what, sweetie?
This is too big.
Yeah, yes, just cut them like in threes. So just take your knife and cut it in threes.
Okay.
All right, I have 1 carrot cut up, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oil with the onions so they can start cooking. Now again, everything's not going to be cooked before we put it in the pie. So it's just what we're doing is called sauteing it. And like I said, you can be the judge of it. See if you need more onion, more carrots. Whatever we put into it, if you think you need more, go ahead and put more in. Okay, guys, my husband's going to step in for just 1 minute. I got to run and do something, and I'll be right back.
Hi, guys. All right, we're going to finish cutting up our carrots. How's everybody doing? We're doing good? All right, let's get some carrots cut up here, guys. Again, make sure you're being very careful because you're using a pretty sharp knife, I'm assuming, to cut your carrots. I don't know about y'all's, but it's smelling pretty good in here. Almost there. Everybody doing okay with your carrots so far? You doing good? Awesome, guys. You're doing awesome. Alright, I've almost got my carrots done. Dropping those in real quick. Alright, guys. I'm gonna let our carrots kind of go for a couple of minutes here. Alright, we're doing good. Everybody almost got your carrots almost done? Alright, I got to cheat. I got to look at the recipe because I'm not sure what I'm doing next. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to give everybody a couple of moments here. We're going to let our carrots kind of cook in here for a second. So just kind of getting the oil on them, getting them heated up. It's going to make them a little bit softer when they're cooking. Alright. Everybody thumbs up when you're done with your carrots, alright? We'll give everybody just a couple of moments. We're doing good. Awesome. Great job. Alright. Looking good, guys. Alright. Alright, remember to keep kind of stirring your onions and your carrots every now and again. Getting there. Alright. Alright. Everybody good with your carrots? We're beating our carrots up apparently with a knife. Alright, guys. Alright, so let's look. I guess everybody thumbs up when you're done with your carrots. So I know I've got one. How's everybody else? Everybody good? Awesome. Alright. So next what we're going to do is we are going to add our peas and our corn. So, I think Miss Blackmon's coming back. So I guess I'm going to be kicked out of the kitchen now, guys. Y'all did a great job, guys. Just remember to keep stirring your onions and your carrots so you don't want them to burn or stick. And I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Blackmon. Good job, guys.
All right, guys. We want to let the onions and carrots saute for about a minute or two longer. So we want to let them get good and brown. Now the carrots aren't going to get good and brown, but your onions will have they'll almost, it's like a kind of light brown color, okay? All right. Now that we have that done, we want to add in our peas and our corn. All right, we need a cup of each. Now, I bought the little bags at Walmart, okay? If you've got cans, that's great. Make sure you drain the liquid off of them, okay? If you have a can, make sure you drain the liquid off of it. Okay, so we want to go ahead and open those and get 1 cup of each. All right, so I put my cup of corn in. And I'm going to stir that around. You're going to hear it sizzling a lot because my corn was frozen. So it's absorbing the water that was in it and it's thawing it out. And that's okay. Again, if you're using canned corn, just make sure you drain the juice out of it before you take your cup. So you're going to use a cup of corn. Sure. The carrots? Yeah, so you should have your carrots, your onions, and your corn in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And now we're going to put the peas also in it. So, and again, if your family doesn't like peas, because I know a lot of people don't, you don't have to put them in it. So you'll get your peas. Again, I've got a frozen pack from Walmart. You can do frozen, you can do fresh, or you can do canned. Again, if you're doing canned, make sure you drain them. And you want a cup of peas. All right, and you're going to pour that in with your corn and carrots and onion. So now we got everything in there, all the vegetables. Now you want to stir it around and you want to make sure everything has got oil on it. So once it's stirred around, everything, all the vegetables will have a shiny look to them. And we're going to let that cook for just a little bit. Don't let it get stuck to it. Keep stirring it around so it doesn't get stuck to the sides or the bottom. So this is what it looks like. It has the corn, the peas, the carrots and the onion in it. Okay, I'm gonna let it cook for about another 2 or 3 minutes. All right, then our instructions say to take it off the heat. I'm actually not going to take it off the heat. I'm going to leave it on, but I'm just going to put it on low so that it can still be cooking a little bit while I'm cutting up my chicken. Okay, so occasionally you're going to have to go back and stir it. Okay, all right. Hopefully you either pre-cooked your chicken or you're boiling your chicken right now. Okay, if your chicken has already started boiling, if it looks white on the outside, it is probably done. All right, so you might want to check your chicken and see if it's done. All right, so I have one piece that's done here that I'm going to use. Now, I just took it straight out of the hot water, so it is very hot. Okay, so I don't want to touch it because I really don't want to burn myself. So I'm using a fork and a knife. Okay, I'm going to put the fork in the chicken to hold it still. And then I'm just going to cut the chicken with the knife. All right, I'm just going to cut it in slices right now since it is so hot. That'll help it cool some. So basically, I'm cutting it like this into just slices, okay? Because I don't want to touch it yet because it's still too hot. So I'm going to cut it in slices. Okay, once you have it cut in slices, you can do a couple of things with it. You can cut it into small squares, or you can shred it. I like to shred it because it works easier. So if you just take your knife and put your fork in it and pull, put the knife on it and pull, it'll shred into small little pieces. So you get something that looks like this. It's just a little bitty piece. Okay, so you want to shred it into little bitty pieces and then just throw it in with your vegetables. Once you get it shredded, just throw it in with your vegetables. Make sure that you're cutting all the fat off of it because you don't want to put fat chicken in your, like the fatty gristle, you don't want to put that in your pie, so make sure you're cutting all the fat off of it. If you get a little bit of fat in it and you see it, you may want to take it out and recut it. But try not to put any fat in it. And I'm just going to let it saute while I finish putting the chicken in there. As you're shredding it, it'll start cooling down where you can handle it with your hands. When it's cool enough you can handle it with your hands, you can always shred it with your hands also. And you just shred it into your vegetables. Every once in a while stir your vegetables to make sure they're doing okay and not sticking to the bottom. Once you've added your chicken, go ahead and stir it around and see if you've got enough in there. If you want more in there, go ahead and cut some more. But you want to make sure that it gets all around in the vegetables, because you don't want just a big bunch of chicken in one spot. Okay? So make sure it gets all around. I'm going to grab another piece of chicken. Alright, I think I've got enough chicken in mine, so I'll wait for you guys to get chicken in yours. Alright, then again, we're going to let this all cook together. So I want to make sure that my chicken's all in my vegetables and nothing's sticking to the sides or the bottom. So this is what it looks like with the chicken in it. Okay, make sure it's all stirred together. Just keep stirring it around, letting it saute, letting the oil get into it, letting the vegetables kind of get into each other's taste. That's what you want in the chicken. Does everybody have your chicken in? Yes? Good job. All right, the next thing you're gonna do is add a can of cream of mushroom soup. Now, before I open any cans, I always wipe off the cans. So I'm gonna wipe off the lid, and then I'm gonna open it up. Okay, if yours is a pop top like mine is, be very careful because the sides of it are gonna be sharp. Okay? And then I want to use a spoon to make sure I get all the cream of mushroom soup out. So I want to make sure I get it all out. Now it calls for a teaspoon of milk. So I'm going to take my milk. I'm sorry, a tablespoon of milk. So I'm going to take my milk, and I'm not going to pour it directly in the pan. I'm actually going to pour it into the can that my soup came out of. And the reason I'm doing that is it'll allow me to get the rest of the soup out of the bottom of the can. Alright, so I've poured my tablespoon of milk in my soup can, and I'm just going to stir it around. It's not a whole lot, but it'll help you get the rest of your soup out. Once I stir it around, I'm going to go ahead and empty it into the pot. And then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to stir around everything in the pot until it's got white all over it from the soup. So all your vegetables, all your chicken, everything should have white on it.
Sorry, Miss Blackmon, I will not use all of this.
Yes, ma'am.
That's so much. So
How many ounces is it? Look at the label. How many ounces is it? On the can, baby.
This one is 26 ounces.
All right, hold on. Let me look. You want about 2. Hold on. There's 2.5 in here. Okay, there's 2.5 servings in my can, and they're a half each. So for 2, it would be a whole cup. So you want a 1.5 cups out of there. A 1.5 cups. Okay?
This one?
Yes. Yep. And then a half. So you want 1 big cup and 1 of the half cups. And put it in with your chicken and your vegetables.
Okay, thank you.
And then a tablespoon of milk.
Okay.
And you've still got your heat on and you're just stirring around your vegetables. You want to get everything coated in the soup so it all looks white. So this is what it'll look like once you have the soup in it. Okay? It's got the white. Okay? So once everybody has that done, give me a thumbs up so I know we're ready to go on. All right. Make sure you're keeping it stirred until everybody's ready.
Like this, Miss Blackmon, it looks good.
Yes, that looks good. All right, the last thing I want to do to my mixture is I want to add a little salt and a little pepper. Now, the reason it says a pinch, some people like a whole lot of pepper and some don't. So I just add a little bit of each to it just to give it some spice. Now, once you serve it, if people want more salt or pepper, they can put it on there. But I always put just a little bit in, and then I let them salt and pepper it to taste. Then you're going to stir it around again to get all the salt and pepper stirred around throughout your vegetables. All right. All right, now that your vegetables are all stirred around, you've added your seasoning. Now we're going to get our pie pan back that has our crust in it. So go ahead and get your pie pan. And what you're going to do is, it depends on how you want to do it. You can pour the vegetables and chicken right out of the pan into your pie crust, or if you want to do it by the spoonful, you can, okay? I'm actually going to just pour it right out of my pan into my pie crust. Now, it's going to look like a lot in there, but I'm going to show you how to make it so it stays level, okay? So let's go ahead and pour it into our pie crust. And as I'm pouring it in, I'm flattening it out with my spoon so that I don't end up with a big old heap that I have to flatten out at the end. I'm getting everything out of my pan, into my pie crust. And again, I'm using my spoon to flatten it out, kind of squish it together. So once I've got it all in my pie crust, again, I'm going to use the back of my spoon and squish it so that it all lays as flat as I can possibly get it. So it'll look like this. Okay? Very good. All right, now we're going to take the second pie crust that's in your box. The second pie crust that was in your box. Okay? And we're going to unroll it. So you're taking the second pie crust and you're going to real easily unroll it. All right, so now it's flat like our first one was. And we're just going to put this right on top of our other one. See how I've got it just laying right on top? I just laid it on top. All right, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn this under and kind of push it together with the other pie crust. So it's kind of forming that little bitty peak that you see on pies. Try very hard not to put a hole in it. All right, I'm gonna set mine down and finish it while you're doing yours. You don't want a hole in it around the side if you can help it.
Miss Blackmon?
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Put your other pie crust on top of it. Okay, this is what mine looks like when I've got the crust all crimped together all the way around. Okay? Now there's one more thing we have to do to this before we can put it in the oven. You want to use the end of a pointy knife, and you're just going to put little bitty holes just around it. I'll show you what mine looks like. See how I'm putting little bitty holes? You just want to go a little bitty hole, make sure you go all the way in to the filling. These are what's called steam holes, and they need them to cook. Alright, once you have your steam holes put in it, you're ready to put it in the oven. So go ahead and put it in the oven. You want to set your oven to 35 to 40 minutes. "35 to 40 minutes.
Miss Blackmon?
Yes. Yes, it does. Go ahead and put it in the oven. Good job. Okay, everybody's putting theirs in the oven. Way to go, guys. All right, I've already made one today for my class this morning, so I will show it to you. So when it gets done, this is what it should look like. A golden brown. It should be a golden brown. All right? That's what it's going to look like when you get done with it. All right? Does anybody have any questions about making the pot pie?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Which temperature should I put it on?
375. 375. And again, this is what it'll look like when you're done with it. Okay? So after about 35 to 40 minutes, when your timer goes off, this is what it'll look like. And remember, their last rule of cooking. What is it? Who cleans? Who cleans the dishes? Is it mom and dad or you? Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Mom, nope. You made the mess, you clean the mess. There aren't too many dishes to do, but make sure you get all the dishes done so Mom doesn't have to clean it, okay? Alright, so once your chicken pot pie is in the oven and your timer started, you want to go ahead and start cleaning up your dishes and cleaning up your extra stuff and putting it away. Are we doing good? Good. Maria, how's it going? All right. All right, guys, the rest of it is up to you. You just have to watch your kitchen timer and make sure you take it out when it's done, okay? And make sure you clean the dishes. And that's all there is to chicken pot pie. So you have something good to eat for supper tonight. Does anybody have any questions about what we did? All right, guys. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Let your chicken pot pie cook. Once you've got it cooked, send me a picture of you with your pot pie. Just send it to my email so I can see you, okay? All right. Bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.